Hi, my name is Renee Pinal. I am from the White Mountain Apache tribe in northern Arizona. I am a first-year student at the University of Arizona planning to declare in public health. Being a first-generation student gave me the motivation to participate in Native student outreach access and resiliency. My educational goals have always pushed me to go beyond the reservation, but there is always a recurring hiccup on unsure where to start and how. Through this course and mentoring program, my goal was to be a support system for my mentees, the support system I never had due to the lack of knowledge around the education system. Weekly online mentoring sessions taught me how to share information effectively via Zoom, prepare online presentations and activities, and get to know each one of my mentees. Participating in Native SOAR has been a learning experience that has shaped my understanding of Native American communities and the educational barriers we face. Through mentoring high school students, engaging with course readings, and reflecting on my own experiences, I have grown as a student, individual, and advocate for Indigenous student success. One of the aspects significant to my overall growth as a student was understanding the history and present-day challenges Native American communities face. The introduction of Indigenous peoples' history of the United States helps us better understand settler colonialism. This idea caught my attention because it made me realize that the struggles in my community are not just in the past but are ongoing and present in our lives every day. Colonization affects the way Native youth navigate the world, especially within the educational system. The lack of Native representation led me to be uncomfortable sharing my stories or thoughts. It wasn't until I found Native faculty I felt like I was finally getting the full purpose of a peer mentor or academic advisor. In my own experience as a Native student, I can relate to the colonial structures that are still impacting our communities today. As a Native student, reading Amanda Tuccini's words about systemic monsters and imposter syndrome feels like she's giving voice to something I've lived but didn't always have the words for. These monsters show up in the classroom when professors question our intelligence or when our histories are left out of textbooks. Indigenous people are often marginalized and our voices are overlooked. When I walk across campus and feel invisible, or worse, when someone expects me to represent all Native people, imposter syndrome creeps in and I ask myself if I really belong here, or if I was just let in to meet diversity quota. Tuccini reminds me that these feelings don't come from within me, they're created by a system that wasn't built for us. We don't just need to survive these systems, we deserve to thrive, and that means creating space for each other, building community where we feel seen, and mentoring the younger ones who come after us. Native SOAR has allowed me to see resilience within my community by introducing me to student affairs, campus resources, and clubs, creating a safe space for Indigenous students. Highlighting we continue to thrive despite these challenges. So now I try to be the support for others by sharing my story and encouraging them to keep going. In sharing circles conducted by our instructor, I was able to share out loud, listen, and relate to other Native students. As we discussed our thoughts throughout the semester, I have gained a deeper understanding of Native Americans in higher education and how this article personally relates to myself and other students that have taken this course with me. The quote shared in Beyond the Asterisks is a good example of how institutions often overlook the needs and strengths of Native students. It helps us to recognize that the mentees and I are more than numbers on a data sheet. Indigenous students have a background that is not acknowledged within academic spaces. The invisibility of Native students in the academic field was something I began to understand more clearly through Native SOAR. The majority of the students learn new material from many of the sharing circles, in-class activities, and group discussions. Most people, myself included, were unaware of the resources that were accessible to them, such as Native American Student Affairs, Native authors, initiatives that focus on Indigenous students, scholarships, and possible opportunities for experience. It made me realize that the academic systems were not designed for Indigenous students' success. Mentoring high school students allowed me to put these key concepts into practice. One of the key insights I gained was the importance of relationships. Through weekly meetings with my mentees, I have learned as much from them as they did from me. By listening to their stories and learning more about who they are, I began to see mentoring as a partnership. This understanding of connecting and building a relationship rather than being seen as a figure of authority was powerful. Similarly, as a Native student, I am allowed to be who I am and do not have to fit into specific academic patterns or perform in ways that erase my identity. It became clear to me that mentorship is not just about guidance. It is about creating a safe space where us as mentors and the mentees can grow together. As a mentor, it was important to not only provide academic support to my mentees, but to understand their different backgrounds. Recognizing this specific impact has allowed me to approach my role as a mentor with respect and understanding. Participating in Native SOAR has also provided me with the space to reflect on my own identity as a Native student. As I continued to mentor others, I found myself with questions about my own cultural background and what it means to be a Native in a predominantly non-Indigenous world. Through this process, I have realized that who I am is not something I need to hide to be successful within academic institutions. Instead, I can be proud of who I am and look at that as one of my strengths and not a weakness. My background is not a barrier to my success. My community, history, and culture are all a part of my academic success and personal growth.